Rain poured down on Manhattan's cold streets when billionaire Grant Whitmore, stepping out of his black Bentley, froze mid-step. His eyes locked onto a barefoot girl wrapped in a garbage bag, shivering near a food truck. But what made him stop wasn't her hunger or her trembling hands. It was the necklace hanging from her neck. A golden locket, the exact one he gave to Emily, his college sweetheart, 18 years ago, before she vanished without a word. The city buzzed around him, taxis honking, umbrellas bumping, but Grant stood still, trapped in time. No, it couldn't be. He pushed through the crowd, ignoring his assistant's calls, eyes glued to the girl clutching a paper cup. The locket swung gently over her torn shirt, engraved with two tiny initials on the back. G+E. It was real. "Hey," he said, softer than he intended, crouching in front of her. "Where did you get that necklace?" The girl flinched, her big brown eyes filled with panic. I didn't steal it. I swear. My mom gave it to me before she disappeared." The world around Grant blurred. "Your mom?" he asked slowly. "What was her name?" The girl hesitated, pulling her oversized hoodie tighter. Emily Rose. But people at the shelter called her Emmy." Grant's chest tightened like a vice. 18 years. No closure. No answers. And now this child, maybe 9 or 10, was sitting in rags, claiming to be Emily's daughter. The little girl looked away. "You're not gonna take it, right? It's all I got left of her." He knelt beside her, heart pounding. "What's your name, sweetheart?" She hesitated again. "Hope." Just then, a food vendor shouted, "Back off, man. She's just a kid." Grant stood up slowly, took out a black Amex card and handed it to the vendor. "Feed her whatever she wants. Keep it running till I say stop." The vendor blinked. "This is real?" Grant's eyes stayed on the girl. "Very real." As Hope took a shaky bite of her first warm sandwich in days, Grant leaned against a lamppost, rattled. Was it really her daughter? Was Emily gone? He had the resources to find out. And if she was his daughter, then every second of her being on the streets was his failure. He dialed his PI. "Drop everything. I need everything you can find on a girl named Hope. Age 10. Mother's name, Emily Rose. Start in Harlem." But before he could hang up, Hope whispered, "Mister, do you know my mom?" Grant's voice cracked. "I think I might have loved her." Hope sat quietly in the back seat of Grant's luxury car, warm for the first time in days. She kept her eyes on the glowing city lights, one hand protectively over the locket. Grant drove himself, a rare occurrence. He didn't want assistance or drivers right now, not when his past might be sitting just inches away. "Do you remember anything about your mom?" he asked gently. Hope nodded slowly. "She used to sing to me, this one song about stars, and she always said if I ever lost her, to never take off the necklace." Grant's heart twisted. That sounded like Emily, the same lullaby she once sang to him on the rooftop of their college dorm. He gripped the steering wheel tighter. "Did she ever talk about your father?" Hope shrugged. "Only that he was kind and she loved him. But something happened. She cried a lot, said she couldn't tell me why we had to run." They pulled into a quiet street in Harlem. His private investigator had already texted the location, Emily's last known shelter. Grant walked in, holding Hope's hand. The receptionist looked up, startled by the tailored suit and the little girl beside him. "We're looking for records on Emily Rose," Grant said. "She stayed here years ago, with her daughter Hope." The woman blinked, then nodded slowly. "Yeah, I remember Emily, sweet lady. Didn't say much, but she kept to herself. Got sick at one point. Cancer, I think. Refused treatment. Disappeared one night." Grant's breath caught. "She's, gone." "I'm sorry," the woman said. "We tried to find her, but she left Hope behind one morning with nothing but a note and that locket." Hope looked up at Grant with wide, fearful eyes. "She left me?" "No," Grant said quickly, kneeling beside her. "She was protecting you, sweetheart. She probably didn't want you to watch her suffer." The receptionist quietly slid a folder across the desk. "There's something else. Emily asked us to give this to Hope when she turned 10. We didn't know where she'd end up, Inside the folder was a handwritten letter, the edges yellowed with time. My darling Hope, if you're reading this, I'm already gone. I wish I could have stayed longer, but my body couldn't fight anymore. I want you to know I loved you more than life itself. And if the man reading this with you is Grant Whitmore, tell him I never stopped loving him. I left because I was pregnant, and his parents, his world, would have never accepted me. I didn't want you to grow up in a war. Grant, if you're there, take care of her. You were always good deep down. Don't let her become a shadow in this world. Tears blurred Grant's vision. The receptionist sniffed quietly. Hope was still reading, her little lips moving silently over each word. When she was done, she looked up. You're Grant? He nodded. Yes, I am. Hope stared at him a long moment, then did something that shattered him. She stepped forward and hugged him. I think I've waited my whole life to find you. Grant didn't care about his billion-dollar empire anymore. Not in that moment. All he cared about was the little girl who just whispered, Dad? 3 days had passed since that moment in the Harlem shelter. In those 3 days, the world changed for both Grant Whitmore and little Hope. Now Hope sat on the balcony of Grant's penthouse suite in Midtown Manhattan, wrapped in a soft cashmere blanket, eyes wide as she stared out at the skyline. It was the first time she had ever looked at the city from above, instead of from a sidewalk, hungry and ignored. Behind her, Grant stood silently, a fresh cup of hot cocoa in hand. Still getting used to it, he asked, setting it beside her. Hope nodded. It's like I'm not invisible anymore. That hit Grant in the chest. He sat beside her, watching the sun dip below the skyscrapers. You never were, Hope. The world just didn't deserve you yet. She gave a small smile. Do I really get to stay here? Grant turned to her. I told you, I'm not going anywhere. And neither are you. You're my daughter. She looked down at the necklace again. The locket, her last link to her mother, gleamed in the fading sunlight. News had begun to spread. A billionaire adopting a homeless girl? The press went wild, but Grant didn't care about headlines until his old legal advisor, Davis, stormed into his office with a file. Grant, you might want to see this, Davis said, handing over a thick envelope. It's a copy of Emily's will. You've been left guardian of an unregistered trust, and there's more. Inside was a photo, one that shook Grant to his core. Emily, holding a newborn baby, standing outside the Whitmore estate, and behind her in the distance, almost out of frame, Grant's own mother. He stared at it for a long time, the pieces falling into place. She knew, Grant muttered. My mother saw her and still made her leave, Davis nodded. Looks like your family paid Emily to disappear. She didn't vanish. She was forced out. Grant stood up slowly. For years he'd believed Emily had abandoned him. But the truth was even more painful. His own family had erased her. Hope was sketching in a notebook, tiny cartoon figures of her and Grant riding a roller coaster. You're an artist too? Grant asked with a smile. She shrugged. It's just what I do when I'm scared. He leaned over. You don't have to be scared anymore, kiddo. Not ever again. Just then, the doorbell rang. Grant opened the door to find his elderly mother standing stiffly, pearls around her neck, as polished as ever. I saw the news, and she said flatly, You've adopted a street child claiming to be Emily's? Grant didn't flinch. She's not just claiming, she is. And your silence cost me 10 years with my daughter. His mother narrowed her eyes. You're ruining your name for a memory. Grant looked back toward Hope, who peeked around the corner, wide-eyed and silent. Then he turned back. I'm not ruining anything, he said coldly. I'm fixing what you destroyed. He stepped outside, handed his mother a sealed envelope, copies of Emily's letter in the trust, and said only one thing. She would have made a better Whitmore than any of us ever did. He shut the door without waiting for a response. Later that evening, Hope walked into Grant's office in her pajamas, holding a pillow. Can I sleep in here tonight? She asked. Grant smiled. You never have to ask. She crawled onto the couch as he worked quietly on his laptop. A moment passed and then she whispered, Dad? He looked over, surprised but overwhelmed. Yeah? Thank you for finding me. Grant walked over, kissed her forehead, and pulled the blanket up around her. No, Hope. Thank you. For saving me. The locket gleamed faintly as Hope closed her eyes. Finally home. Finally safe.